Welcome to our second day of 50 days of coding challenge. Today we are going to be looking at HTML formatting. Formatting basically it's you know adding beautifying your page, adding colors, bolding, italic, um, probably aligning, inserting pictures. Those are some of the things we're going to be doing in this exercise. So let's take a look at it. At the end of the day, you guys will have something to take home to do, and maybe commit that in the in the in the challenge portal. All right, so let's take a look at what we have today. Okay, so we are going to be doing or designing this page, and just to bring to your attention, you can see that the heading here, it's blue. The heading here, it's blue, right? So we're gonna learn how to achieve that. Take a look at this section here as well. You have Grace Murray, it's bold. Then you also look at Pioneer, that's an italic. Then take a look at this, of course. Picture is inserted and is center aligned. How do we achieve that? We're going to be looking at that. And of course, the bullets here. Oh, sorry, the numbers. You know, the number points there. How do we achieve that? Okay, so that's what we aim to achieve today. So let's take a look at the codes that actually made that page the way it looked. All right, so remember we were looking at this the other day, and that before you start a page, you need to tell the browser that you want to use a specific type of HTML. And I did say that we're going to be looking at HTML5 as opposed to the older versions. All right, so that's it, stating clearly that it is HTML5 that we're using in this design. Okay, then of course you introduce your HTML code, starting code, and that's the ending code of HTML. So wherever you have an opening tag, beg your pardon, you always have a corresponding closing tag. And remember, the closing tag, there's always a slash before the tag. Okay, so we start with HTML and we finish with HTML. Remember, this is at the top just to say just to tell the browser to invoke anything that has to do with HTML5, to try to understand the page and read it as HTML5. Okay, so then after you have the HTML, you introduce the HTML, then you introduce the head tag. And please take note, there's a difference between head tag and header tag. We're going to be coming to header tag later on because a lot of students kind of mix them up. Okay, but remember, the head tag comes first. It's usually before the body tag. Usually before the body tag. It basically just gives the title. In this regards, it gives the title of the page. Most times when you look at the browser, at the top of the browser, you're going to see that there's some sort of information about that page at the top. I will be showing you that when I go to the practical session of this of today's lesson. Okay, so that is the header. Okay, the header, you have to put inside the head, I beg your pardon, you have to put the title and now state exactly what you want the title to be. Also, bear in mind there are several tags that actually go inside this header tag. Right, we're going to be looking at that in the next couple of slides. The type of tags that go inside the head tag, okay, and what the purpose are for. Right, but for this particular one, we're just using the title tag. All right, so once we have established what the title tag is, we now move on to the body tag. I think I've made a mess of it there. So body tag basically is body, and that's body dy. Okay, so you start with the body tag, and that's the ending of the body tag here. Remember, for every opening tag, there is a corresponding closing tag. So the body, so anything that you want to see appear on your web page has to be enclosed within the body tag. All right, so that's it. So that's the end of the body tag. Now, pages could be divided into several sections, but for this particular design, we only have one section. So that's why you are seeing just this section there. Okay, this is actually one of the new tags that was introduced for in HTML5. It wasn't there in the past. It basically just kind of explains, it gives some meaning to your web page, semantic. We're going to be talking about later on in the course, but just know for example that this section tag is basically just trying to make sense. So this is for particular section. Now, because we only have one section in this page, we're not giving our section an ID, because if you have several sections, you would have to give that section an attribute by assigning it to a particular ID. All right. So for now, it's one section, so that's the only thing that's going to be appearing on the page. So there's no point giving it an ID. Okay, so that's why you have it just there as section. All right, so now we have the opening section, and then that's the closing section here. You can see that. All right, then the next thing is the heading. Sorry, the title of the page, which is this: the story of Grace Murphy. That's the title of the page. As you can see, it's blue in color. Okay, so it's enclosed inside the H1 tag. That is what made it this big. Remember, H1 is the highest, is the biggest of all the H elements. That's the heading elements. Okay, it's the biggest of them all. But now we want to give it a style. Typically, or the default look of the H1 is big and black. Okay, so we want to specify that, we want it to be blue instead of black. So that's why we now have to introduce this attribute. Remember, we talked about attribute yesterday. That's the style there. That's the attribute. It's okay. I want to declare something. I want to give it a color. So it's okay. Style. That's the attribute, right? Then you now want to specifically say, okay, this attribute, I want it to be color. Okay, you can see that it is in quote, a single quote. So color, and you now have to specify the color. Now, there's a way you can get the specific color you're looking for. If you just Google HTML color hexadecimal code or HTML colors, you should get, helps on different colors and their codes. All you need to do is just look at the colors and copy the codes and paste it inside a style, and you get exactly what you're looking for. Okay, so basically what we have there now is the color and a semicolon between the color and the hash color codes itself. All right, so I hope you can see that clearly. Then of course the title basically is it's what you actually when a user hover their cursor on this particular text, what will appear, right? We're gonna have chapter 1 appear on it. So that's what that means. Okay, it's just the title of what the text there represents. All right, you could put anything else. I just chose to put chapter 1. All right, so you can see now there's a comma in between because we're assigning several two attributes to this H1. So you put a comma between them. All right, so we say the style attribute, we're giving it color, and the title attribute, we're giving it chapter 1. So if you want to add more attributes to your H1, all you need to do is to add a comma after chapter 1 and keep adding. Remember, you state the attribute, then you now give it a value. All right, so the attribute in this case, style is the attribute, the value is the color, and of course you give it the color code. Then title is the attribute and chapter 1 is the value. So whenever you introduce an attribute, you always give it a value, and the value is always in quote. All right, so you could use the double quote, or you could use the single quote. It doesn't matter, they both work. Is that okay? So then at the end of it, you now do your you now add your closing tag, which is /H1. Okay, I hope that's clear enough. So let's move on to the next section. So of course there's a space in between, so we need to add our paragraph, which is the P tag. And the closing tag where we want the paragraph to end, that's it there, /P. All right, now Grace was bold. So to make Grace bold, Grace Murray Hopper, we want to make that text bold. So we need to put strong in between between the texts. Okay, so you can see the strong starting the starting tag comes before the text, and the ending tag comes after the text. So anything within these tags will be bold. Okay, now also take a look at Pioneer EM. Okay, I kind of emphasize it again. You put it between, that gives it that slanted look. Another tag that could also produce this is the I tag, but we'll go with the M. That seems to be more browser friendly these days, so it's best to stick to current coding design. All right, so I think that's about it for that section there. Then of course the picture. Right, so how did we add the picture? So remember the tag for picture is img, that's the HTML tag, that's this one here, HTML tag. Then the attribute is source, okay, because there are several types of attributes that img would have, but for now, when you're bringing in pictures, it's the source attributes that we introduce, and you give it a value. Remember, always give it a value. So that's the attribute is CRC, and the value is grace.png. Now, this grace.png, that is the name of the picture file. The picture is called grace.png. PNG is just a type of format. So, but you want to make sure that this picture is saved in the same folder where you're saving this file itself. Okay. Sorry. Let's go back to that again. So you want to make sure it's saved within the same folder. I'll be showing you that in the practical session, just to make sure it's saved there. If it's not saved in the same folder, you want to make sure you get the right paths correctly. Then for simplicity and clear understanding, it is best to save the same file on the same the HTML file and the picture in the same folder. Okay. Then the alt. The alt basically, it's just basically when it's useful for those that are visually impaired, those that have issues with their eyes, that probably use some sort of instrument, braille or something to read the computer. That is what they understand. They understand the alt alternative and the alt text. So it's actually called alternate text, right? So it's for the visually impaired and also for search engine optimization. When Google want to map your pictures or for whatever your text, that is what they look for. They look for the alt, anything that you have assigned to the alt tag, that is what Google will map. So if they're searching for a particular image, for instance, I'm looking for an image with a woman with a uniform or something, I probably want to name it that way, or I'm looking for an image of Grace Murray, I want to name it correctly so that when somebody Googles to search for a picture of Grace Murray Hopper, this picture comes up. So that is what the alt represents. So for visual impairment, for visually impaired people, it helps their instruments or their braille or whatever they use to read it properly, because they can't see the picture, they can't interpret the picture, they can only interpret text. So you need to give your picture a description. Then of course title, the title one here, this is different from the title that you have in the head section. This title basically just again gives you the user, the viewer of the page. When you hover your picture on it, your mouse on it, you see Grace Murray, gives it the picture a title. So that's what that is, right? Okay, so I think that's about the picture section. Then of course there's not much here. Again, that's a paragraph. You put a P, the start of P and the end of P. Then of course you have this section here that deals with ordered list. Okay, ordered list. Now if you want to put an ordered list like we can see here, you need to start at the beginning of it. You need to start with what we call the OL, which also means stands for ordered. Then L stands for lists. Okay, so you start it with OL and you end it with /OL as well. So you can see the ending here, the /OL. Okay, I actually forgot to put that. So it's supposed to be somewhere here, /OL. So that's the end of it there, right? Then individually you will now put L1. So it depends on the number of points you want to show there. You put as many as possible there. So here we now put L1, Li, I beg your pardon, lists. So obviously here you have 3 Li, and the /Li. I'm going to show you guys in the practical section where you can see that was written. So you have 3 of those there. Okay. And I think that's about all. And this will produce the page that we saw in the previous page. So remember, for every opening tag, there is a corresponding closing tag. Right. So now, just to bring your attention to the heading that I talked about in the previous page, that it's good to have the heading before the body. Okay, so basically what the head does, not heading, what the head does is just basically an element, is a container for metadata. What does metadata means? It means data about data, and it's placed between the HTML tag and the body tag, just like we've seen in the previous slide. Now, what are the things that you place inside the head? Right, these are the things you place inside the head. We have used this already. Title, I showed you example of that. Or you could use star inside the head, or metadata, or link, or script, or base. So as a matter of fact, I would like you guys to go practice this in this exercise so you can understand when and where we know where you use it, when to use it. Okay, so you need to do this exercise here on the W2 school page, right? There you will get a good understanding of when to use these tags. All right, so in subsequent activity that you're going to be having, I'm going to have you apply it to your design. Okay, so that's one exercise for you. Then, of course, what exactly would you be doing on your #D2 project? You will be designing this for me. Okay, it's just based on what I've taught already in the first few slides there. So you will be, of course, apply that same knowledge of how you format that, and then how you align the picture. The one I showed you was center aligned, so you want to left align this. This is still center aligned, and this is right aligned, and you want to use bullets as opposed to number. Okay, bullets will be unordered lists, which is this UL, right? Then the ordered list, the one that I've shown you previously, is OL. I remember all the individual points will have LI. Okay, and the corresponding closing LI. All right, so that's your #2days exercise for you. I hope this is clear enough. So I will see you in the practical lesson. Take care now. Bye for now.